This is Rennie Knopf with Championship BBQ.TV, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. The show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. We broadcast live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday. If you want to jump in on the show this evening, I'm more than happy to have you. A phone call is all it takes, 216-220-0966. In lieu of the email, you can also shoot, or in lieu of the phone call, you can also shoot me an email.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what we have on tap for you during this 120-minute live fire grilling, cooking, and barbecuing extravaganza. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it's the third Tuesday of the month. We are a few days out, obviously, from one of the biggest holiday eating days of the year, that being Thanksgiving. So you might find a running theme through this show, a little bit of a themed, that being Thanksgiving last week, especially with the meathead side. But this week, this show for these next 2 hours, definitely will have a common Thanksgiving theme running all the way through it. 12 minutes from now, as I had mentioned, third Tuesday of the month brings a visit from a multiple-time author, a BBQ Hall of Fame'er, a cooking class instructor, TV show host. The list goes on and on. Friend of this show, Stephen Raichlen, will be joining us. Lots of stuff to talk to Stephen about, obviously. We'll be talking about what he might be putting together as it relates to Thanksgiving at his house, what his traditional Thanksgiving looks like. Anything out of the ordinary, that's always something that we're asking Stephen about. Obviously, the old standbys, regardless of if it's a holiday or not. Stephen, you like to cook steak. But aside from what is something that might diverge out of the norm that you are into that you could tell us about? Similar idea will be going on this evening. We'll talk about the turkey. We'll talk about process, tips, and tricks. But then we'll also talk about what's out of the ordinary. Also, I happen to know that he took a trip over to England, and there was something there that he found that was noteworthy, and he wanted to talk about that just a little bit this evening as well. Also, I did see him get together with Bob Trudnak, sponsor of the show from the Barbecue Guru. That was posted on Facebook just a few days ago, so if you missed that, check it out on Bob's Facebook page or the Barbecue Guru Facebook page, but we'll also get a recap from Stephen as time permits. So that's at 9:14. At 9:35, we'll be joined by second-timer to the show. You know him as the Soul Food Scholar. The first time he was on, he educated us fully on Columbus Hill, who was up for the Barbecue Hall of Fame, or was one of the 9 finalists that was up for the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Didn't end up making into the final 3. That was the induction class this year. That was Tootsie, Charlie Vergos, and Tuffy Stone. But he was on that, I guess, semifinal list, if you will, of 9 that were actually voted on, and then 3 ultimately were picked to go into the Hall. But Columbus Hill was one of those. That was Adrian Miller's pick, and he taught us all about where Columbus Hill came from, what the background was, what his claims to fame were, throwing the biggest, drunkest barbecue on the planet in Colorado, no less. So looking forward to catching up with Adrian and talking about soul food stuff, talking about Thanksgiving turkeys that he has seen over his travels, and a number of other items as time permits. And then we'll move to the second hour. And I have a very special guest in the second hour. If you are into social media, especially Instagram and especially live fire cooking, you are probably following her. She has to the tune of 85,000 plus Instagram followers, always doing content, always trying to do it the right way, very busy. So I appreciate the fact that she has time for the show this evening, especially a couple days out from what has to be a pretty big day for her, as I'm sure she's going to be taking lots of pictures and prepping lots of food. Or she could be like me, where typically for the last 20 years, somebody else has done all the cooking. Actually, for the last 43 years, somebody else has done all the cooking. But contrary to popular belief, this isn't a holiday that I typically get the task to cook, which is fine with me. I will eat anybody's food. Never, ever mistake me for a food snob. Not the case. I will eat anywhere. I will eat often. I love eating, and so I will do it. Anyway, we will be talking for the entire second hour, starting at 10:14, with Melissa Raichlen. You know her as Grill Mama. That's right, Melissa Raichlen. At Grill Mama on Instagram. If you've never heard of her, remove the rock from your head and then check it out. Lots of great content, worthwhile on the feed there, so give it the follow and you'll be happy that you did. So that's how it lines up tonight. Stephen Raichlen, Adrian Miller in the first hour, and Grill Mama in the second hour. Are you following me socially? I told you about Grill Mama, but are you following at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter? Same handle. Of course, if you're watching this live video feed on Facebook, you've already liked the show page, but if you haven't, BBQ Central Show, or Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, and you can follow me and friend me and all that stuff on social media platforms, so I would appreciate the follow. I don't hit it all the time, but I hit it frequently enough to where I believe I'm bringing you value as a potential follower of mine or liker of my pages. Plus, I got to give mad props to my guy, Stover Harger the Trace. A lot of people asking me, you've stepped up the story game on your Instagram. How are you doing that? It's the balls. I agree. It's Stover. Contact him directly for contract work. I pay him. And if you don't know what paid work looks like, check out my current Instagram story. I will pay for that. It's really good. I would say it's great. Very professional, timely meeting of the year, seasons, and themes. He's a pro, man. Stover Harger the Trace. Or, as I call him, SH3. I don't really call him that. But I'm telling you, he's knocking it out of the park with those stories and some of those posts that we collaborate with. So thank you to Stover. And if you're interested, I'm sure he's looking for contract work. He's very reasonable, $750 an hour. Absolutely. I'm rich. I can afford it. Programming note, if you haven't visited your smart device recently, I just did a new drop of bonus content yesterday. This time it was with Anella Kelso from Snake River Farms. We covered a number of topics. Most time sensitive was the Snake River Farms Brisket Challenge. So if you are a contest promoter or somebody who puts on a barbecue contest and you're looking to apply for that, you have until the end of this month, which is November, so not even 14 days left. You can make your application right through the Snake River Farms website. They will make their pick announcements after the first of the year. So if you haven't heard the new bonus content yet, go ahead and grab that either at the main website or best way to do, subscribe, of course. So go take a listen to that if you haven't heard it yet. Also, great feedback still coming in from the Michael Simon interview that I did now 2 weeks ago. I actually had one guy tell me that he was not a very big fan of Michael Simon at all from watching him on television, which I think by and large, isn't the norm. I think that's the exception. A lot of guys and gals like Michael Simon. But this guy was not a big fan of his being on television or the way he was coming across. But because he listened to the podcast where we sat down at Mabel's restaurant, just Michael Simon and I, and chopped it up a little bit, won him over by just how down-to-earth he seemed to be. So if you missed that bonus episode as well, just hit the main website as I had mentioned, or better yet, subscribe to the podcast. Real easy to do. That's the easiest way, so you're always alerted when new shows are out and when new bonus content is out. Consume the feed at your convenience when you subscribe to the show. Real easy to do. All right, Stephen Raichlen getting ready. Let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Attention, anyone who loves sausage and barbecue. That's me. Established in 1882, Southside is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They have been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage that's coarse ground and a natural pork casing, and their authentic Central Texas barbecue. All meats, including the prime briskets, slow smoked for many hours over Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store, SouthsideMarket.com. They ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later, include a custom gift note. They can also mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. All shipped items are vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customer. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats are processed in the on-site USDA-inspected facility. Currently, I know of only one other one that I actually talk with on a regular basis, that of course being Pat LaFrida, but Southside Market has an on-site USDA-inspected facility as well. On-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products, custom orders welcome. 2 restaurants to try if you're hungry. Elgin, Texas, since 1882. Bastrop, Texas, since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states. But for everybody else, I encourage you to hit the website, SouthsideMarket.com. That's SouthsideMarket.com. And when you're there and you start to accumulate your online orders, when you check out, use coupon code BBQ Central, one word, all lowercase, BBQ Central. That gets you 10% off the entire online order. Once again, SouthsideMarket.com. Shop till your heart's content. And then at checkout for 10% off the entire order, use code BBQ Central. It's that easy to save money. Nick and the gang over at Southside, appreciate the support, and we're doing it again in 2019. All right, Stephen Raichlen coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, and grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit, as well as in the backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood. Visit butcherbbq.com to stock up right now. That's butcherbbq.com. Always trust your butcher. All right, my first guest can be found the 3rd Tuesday of the month right here on this show, a BBQ Hall of Fame'er, multiple-time author, and no doubt heading into the Thanksgiving Day weekend with a flourish. We race to the hotline. We might race to the hotline. Really? I just was told Stephen Raichlen is not online. I can't believe that for one second. Of course he is. But heading into Thanksgiving with a flourish, we race to the hotline and welcome friend of the show, Stephen Raichlen. No, Steve. All right. We are off and running. Pull up the... Did I miss a text message from somebody? No, did not. I have to. Yeah, I'm online. Good. So we'll just shoot Steven a quick message. Let him know we're all ready to go. And away it goes to the worldwide internet. Now, typically in this time of year, you would find Steven Raichlen in his Miami residence. Fans of the show know that he is a split timer, if you will. Summers and warmer months. Warmer spring, obviously summer, and then warmer fall in Martha's Vineyard. And then when the weather starts to turn a little bit. What's going on here? Hello? When the weather starts to turn a little bit, then he retreats down to the Miami compound. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if he doesn't have the same kind of grill setup into either location, or if he has Florida grills and Martha Vineyard's grill. And then if there's doubles, which ones are those? Which ones can he not go without regardless of location? That might be the better question other than thinking about. We might have to ask him that. But we have lots of stuff to talk about from a Thanksgiving standpoint. So, without any further ado, we will race to the hotline and welcome in friend of the show, Steven Raichlen. Hold on, Steven. Let me pull you up here. There you are. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Absolutely fabulous, Steven. Always appreciate you making time for the show here. And obviously, we have some impending holidays quickly approaching, that being Thanksgiving, of course. So I guess before we get into some pro tips on Thanksgiving and so forth, let's harken back to a young Steven Raichlen and what Thanksgiving was like in your house, some memories that kind of stand the test of time with you and Thanksgiving.
You know, I'm so glad you asked that. I was recollecting earlier today. I grew up, I was the only grandson on both sides of the family, had big extended families. Our Thanksgivings were affairs of 20, 30 people. My both great-grandmothers would cook. We'd sort of do one on Thanksgiving and then one the day after. My great-grandmothers would ride the streetcar down to Lexington Market in Baltimore, buy a live turkey or freshly slaughtered turkey, which they would pluck themselves. But mostly what I remember is just so many people gathered around. And, you know, with today's fractured families, it's kind of a shame we don't have those big family dinners anymore.
Steven Raichlen joining me here on the show, giving us some thoughts as he was growing up and experiencing Thanksgiving. Do you find that those big gatherings did kind of manifest within you into this love of food?
Absolutely. You know, I associate, and especially barbecue, although, you know, believe me, none of my grandparents or great-grandparents or aunts or uncles ever fired up a grill. But the fact that kind of barbecue is a communal activity, it brings us together. And Thanksgiving brings us together. Thanksgiving is nice because it's non-sectarian. You know, it's not one religion or faith against another. Like Halloween, it's a truly secular holiday. And I just, you know, I look back to those days. I'm sorry my kids won't know those big family dinners the same way.
You know, I'm a little surprised, or maybe I'm not surprised, because I think I might mention it every year that, you know, it's always Christmas seems to be pushing out farther and farther into fall, and, you know, some like to say that, you know, summer's coming to an end when you start hearing how many days left until the Christmas holiday. But you have this big eating holiday of Thanksgiving that lays right before, you know, after Halloween, before Christmas, and the other traditional holidays. There's hardly any commercialism for Thanksgiving at all, which I guess continues to lend its appeal to this whole holiday concept.
Yeah, that's pretty much true, except for what comes the day after Thanksgiving.
Or,
which
or
is,
later that night, I guess.
Friday, which at that last check, let's say checking my inbox today, at least 3 companies have started today, Tuesday night, 48 hours before Thanksgiving. But I know what you mean. I mean, it's not, it's still remains relatively secular.
So dare we mention, Stephen, that someone might be realizing at this very moment as we begin to talk about some Thanksgiving stuff that they haven't pulled out their 15 or 18-pound bird out of the freezer yet. Panic obviously is now setting in. The question, I guess, is what size bird is too big at this point as we sit at 21:20 on Tuesday before Thursday being Thanksgiving. What point is, or what? How big is too big to defrost at this point for Thursday?
Well, I think that 18 to 20 pound bird, if it's frozen, is that's you're too late in the game. I personally like a 12-pound turkey, and if I'm having a lot of people, I like 2 12-pounders. I find those big ones, they're easy to dry out. It's tough to get them cooked perfectly, and you get a higher ratio of smoke to skin to meat if you're working with a smaller bird.
When you are cooking the bird, or I guess let's start a little bit of a prep process for you. What do you like to do traditionally, and then how do you end up cooking the bird?
Well, first thing is I almost always do the bird differently every year. And second thing is I almost always try something I've never tried before, because for me it's a working holiday and I like to experiment. But I would say sort of our go-to is a brine the night before. Might be a bourbon brown sugar brine, although go easy on the brown sugar because your skin will darken up too much. This year I'm going to try a dry brine on my turkey. We're picking it up tomorrow morning. We got a beautiful organic bird from Whole Foods, and I'm going to just season it with salt and pepper, a so-called Dalmatian rub, inside and out, and let that brining take place in the fridge overnight. And then I'll do a smoke roast the next morning.
Any injections or anything like that this year?
Nah, I don't think so. Like you're probably referring to last year when I was real big on kind of loosening the skin and putting butter under the skin and sliced truffles and herbs, and that's pretty fun. I think this year I'm going to kind of let the bird stand for itself. If you don't, or if you find yourself in that 20-pound bird market and you're not going to be able to find a fresh one for whatever reason, or maybe, blasphemy, I know, turkey isn't your bag, what do you recommend as a good alternative to turkey dish on Thanksgiving? Is it a rib roast? Is it a ham? What do you think? Well, it's funny. Yesterday I was actually with Bob Trudnak, a barbecue guru, and CyberQ. We were taping a video that's going to go on his YouTube channel. And we did duck, and we did a recipe from my Project Smoke book. It was a tea-smoked duck. So the rub is a Chinese rub made with salt, pepper, brown sugar, cinnamon, coriander, and 5 spice powder. But what's really interesting is instead of just smoking it with wood chips, you mix wood chips, we use cherry, with rice, black tea, brown sugar, star anise, cinnamon stick, spices. It's a very aromatic, pungent smoke. And we smoked the ducks low and slow for about 2.5 hours at, 250, and then cranked up at the heat at the end to crisp the skin. Absolutely amazing. And I kind of, I forget kind of how delicious some of my older recipes are, and especially how duck is. But boy, if we had a small group this year and I hadn't ordered the turkey already, I would do duck. Is duck pretty available in a lot of meat markets? I don't know if I honestly, I haven't gone out looking for duck, but I'm wondering, I guess. Yeah, you'll find frozen duck virtually at any supermarket. And this time of year, the beauty of this time of year is you can find fresh duck in a lot of markets. Bob lives in a small town about an hour north of Philadelphia, and he came back with 6 gorgeous fresh ducks that we used on the shoot. So that's a really cool thing to do. Another idea that's very traditional, especially for Christmas, is goose. And in my book, Planet Barbecue, I've got a brined smoked goose. Now, goose is a pretty tough gamey meat, and cooking it low and slow is a great strategy for keeping that meat tender. When we get back to the turkey cooking here, Stephen, for a second, we're talking with Stephen Raichlen from Barbecue Bible.
Are you more of a 350 or higher guy when you're cooking turkey in live fire, or do you like to maintain that traditional 225, 250 range for turkey, smoked turkey?
I kind of split the difference. I go about 325. So definitely more a hot roast than a smoke. My problem with a smoked turkey is that the skin gets leathery, and I'm the kind of guy that you could just serve me the skin and give the meat to everybody else.
Let's talk about side dishes for a second. Obviously, you think about corn. We've had years and years of where we will buy, they call it Silver King up here, and it's a farm town just east of us where we're at in Cleveland. And it's only for like 3 weeks out of the year, and we will buy 6 or 7 dozen, and we do the whole blanch process where we'll cook the whole cobs, and then we'll actually shuck off all of the corn, vacuum pack it, and we save it just for Thanksgiving, and it is just absolutely delicious when we reheat it. So there's the old standbys, but I guess what are you going to be doing for side dishes? And then what about side dishes that might be a little outside of the traditional box that we should be thinking about?
Well, what I'm going to be doing for side dishes is handing them off to my daughter, who went vegetarian on me recently.
How dare her?
I know. Hey, listen, my wife is not long behind either. Talk about a cross to bear.
Right.
But anyway, I would imagine there will be squash. I like a salt slabs acorn squash. We cut the acorn squash in half, cut sides down on a salt slab, indirect grill it, and then turn it over. And, one of my favorites, it's wild rice and dried cranberries and pecans and a little maple syrup that goes inside. That's a great side dish. Coming back to your corn, I would have grilled the corn or smoked it. Or if you have the cobs, if you have the kernels, I'd put them in a pan, put them on the smoker, get some smoke into them, and then make a smoked cream corn. You'll find that recipe in Project Smoke or on barbecuebible.com. That is pretty fabulous. Let's see what else. The stuffing question. This is a great debate in my family. For some reason, my wife and her family got hung up and obsessed with this Ritz cracker stuffing, which off the record's about the most god-awful thing you could ever imagine. But they've been eating it since they were kids, so that'll be there. And I'm going to respond with a grilled brioche, chestnut, and oyster stuffing, which I think will be pretty terrific. And because they're so busy with the Ritz cracker stuffing, just more for me.
Typically, you'll find leftovers on a Thanksgiving holiday. Do you have one specific leftover holiday dish like the next day or two that you're always looking forward to?
Well, my favorite thing is you take that smoked turkey carcass and you make smoked turkey stock. And we just make gallons of it, keep it in quart containers in the fridge, and then we have stock for the rest of the year. Let's see, turkey hash, that's always a great morning breakfast. A turkey sandwich with the leftover cranberry sauce on it. That is also awesome. And don't forget about dessert. And actually, the blog we wrote today on barbecuebible.com is about 3 Thanksgiving desserts you can do on the grill. There's a smoke roasted pumpkin pie. There's a grilled stuffed pears with smoked ice cream, and a bacon bourbon apple crisp. So as long as you're going to overeat, you might as well overeat a great dessert too.
No doubt about it. Stephen Raichlen joining me here on the show. Obviously, we had kind of prefaced a little bit about the holidays coming in, and obviously Barbecue Bible always down for putting out a holiday gift guide. Are there some items on your gift guide that you have out now that are particularly standing out over and above some of the other ones?
Oh yeah, well there are a couple cool ones that I know I sure would like to receive. One of them is the Shun brisket knife. This is a beautiful honed steel knife designed for slicing brisket. Subject very near and dear to my heart, because even as we speak, I am proofing the pages for the new
Brisket Chronicles.
The Brisket Chronicles book. Let me tell you, it takes a long time to write, and it takes a long time to proof the pages too. So that's a cool item. Then there's a new blower, so you've got your CyberQ, right, to ventilate and pump air through a big reneg type smoker or a water smoker. And not only does that control the temperature, but it gives you great airflow. Well, there's a new device, and you know what? I'm going to just pop on my site to make sure I get you the proper name.
It's the Perfect Draft barbecue air blower. I know this because I have one.
Okay. Well, anyway, that clamps onto the firebox of an offset barrel smoker, and it just forces the air through the smoke chamber. Now, Aaron Franklin is a big advocate of good airflow through a smoker when he's cooking brisket. For him, that's sort of one of the great secrets of brisket, and this blower serves the same purpose. Of course, if you're looking for a big ticket item of someone you love dearly, Barbecue University, tuition to that makes a fun gift to open on Christmas or Hanukkah. That's my school at the Broadmoor Resort in Colorado Springs. Those are 3 items.
I wanted to ask you about the collapsible iceless flip box cooler.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And Nancy Losky, my assistant, who many of you know is sort of a personality and driving force behind all things Raichlen and BBQBible.com, found that one. And the beauty of it is it collapses. It's great for tailgating. And then when you reassemble it, you can fill it with good cold foods and beverages, and you're in business.
Nice. All right. Hey, let's play a lightning round. You want to do that?
Love to.
All right, let's play later. Let me cue up some lightning round music. A little Milt Buckner. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you a couple options. You just give me right off the top of your head, kind of like we did last month a little bit. Bobby Flay or Alton Brown?
Love them both.
Hold on a second. I think my music got the better of me. I'm sorry, what was that? Alton Brown or Bobby Flay?
Yeah, I say I love them both.
Oh, okay. Lump or briquette?
Lump.
Spatchcock or beer can?
Spatchcock.
Right. Open pit or Sweet Baby Ray's?
I'm going to say make your own barbecue sauce.
This isn't how the lightning round works, Stephen. Sazerac or Old Fashioned?
Oh, man, that's a toughie, too. I'm going to go for one of each.
All right.
That's why I gave you 2 hands.
Gas or charcoal?
Charcoal.
Inject. Yeah.
Wood is really what we want.
Nicholas or Woods?
Nicholas or Woods?
Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods.
Sweater or hoodie?
Sweater.
Mac or PC?
Mac, without a doubt.
Facebook or Instagram?
I'm a little down on Facebook these days. They were playing some nasty tricks. Of course, they own Instagram too. So how about just going out without your iPhone and enjoying the world for a day?
How about that? There he is. The third Tuesday of the month, you find Stephen Raichlen right here on the Barbecue Central show. Stephen, hope you have a great Thanksgiving coming up. All the best to you and yours, and we'll see you again in December.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, to you too.
There he is, Stephen Raichlen right there. All right, well, I guess we're going to have to explain to Stephen how we play the game. Come on. I'm the one asking the questions. You give me the answers. That's how it works. Come on, Stephen. Here we go. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Traeger grills. Behind every great meal is a great grill, but not just any grill, a Traeger grill. And the Timberline is Traeger's most advanced grill yet. It allows you to grill, smoke, bake, roast, braise, and barbecue like a pro, no matter what your level. Thanks to the incredible wood fire taste. Seriously, you don't know flavor till you're cooking with it. Traeger grills use all-natural hardwood pellets as fuel, so you're literally cooking with flavor. From low and slow smoked ribs to a seared steak, even a baked apple pie, Traegers can handle it all, and the Traeger Timberline makes it even easier thanks to the Wi-Fi capability. You can check on your cooks, kick up pit temps, and set custom cook cycles anywhere, all right through the Traeger grill app on your phone. You can find one at a local Traeger dealer or check them out online, TraegerGrills.com. Want to beef up that barbecue game of yours? That's not happening. That is not happening. Ahem. Want to beef up that barbecue game of yours? Yes, you do. Traeger Shop class going coast to coast, bringing barbecue knowledge and amazing wood-fired food everywhere they go, taught by professional pitmasters You'll take home all the skills you need to reach barbecue glory. Find a shop class near you and sign up today. TraegerGrills.com/shop class. That's TraegerGrills.com/shop class. Adrian Miller coming up out of the break. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. You visit Cookin, C-O-O-K-I-N, CookinPellets.com for more information. You can purchase there as well. If you would prefer to purchase from Amazon.com, who am I to say don't do that? Go ahead. Download their free app at the CookinPellets.com website. It will alert you to great shipping prices when they happen. Thanks to the folks at CookinPellets.com. My next guest told us all about Columbus Hill the last time he was on the show. Ultimately, Columbus Hill did not get voted into the BBQ Hall of Fame, like yours truly. However, he continues his food research journeys, and he joins me now to talk about different types of turkeys he has seen over the years. So we'll go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline. And welcome back, friend of the show, Adrian Miller.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Adrian, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you feeling?
Doing absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you joining me again. It was about 6 months since we hooked up the last time or so. So I guess before we get into some of the turkey talk, what have you been up to?
So I started eating my way through the country in the name of research. So
one of us had to.
Yeah. So I hit Chicago, Memphis, Seattle, and Phoenix so far. And in the coming months, I'm going to go to Houston in early 2019 and then hit the Carolinas. So like East Texas, the Carolinas, and Kansas City. Those are the kind of the main areas I want to hit. So, just trying to find out what the barbecue scene is like around the country.
I was going to say, is it mostly barbecue stuff, or is it more soul food stuff, or a combination?
It's a combination, because I try to eat both of those things as I travel around, because I want to stay up on my soul food game, but the bulk of it is barbecue.
All right, so what is your usual Thanksgiving life, Adrian, or like? Because I had asked Stephen Raichlen, who was just on before you, as you were a kid, what was it like growing up? And he regaled us of, 20 and 30 people and lots of extended family, all this stuff. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, so similar. So a lot of extended family. I've got 4 brothers and sisters, so 3 brothers and a twin sister. And so usually they come over and then their kids. And we typically do a soul food kind of celebration. So we'll have the turkey, but then we'll have all kinds of soul food sides around it. So even chitlins, I have those on Thanksgiving. But, greens, black-eyed peas, mac and cheese, along with the turkey and the cranberries and the dressing, all of that stuff. And then my favorite is the dessert, lemon icebox pie. I don't know if you've ever had that. But that is glorious. I
mean, I like lemon a lot. So, what's the general concept of lemon icebox pie?
So imagine a key lime pie, except you have a lemon custard. You still have the meringue, but then the crust is crushed vanilla wafers glued together by melted butter.
Wow. I'll take 2.
It's slamming.
Yeah, no doubt. You got a recipe for that?
Oh, yeah, I'll send you it.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that for sure.
Right.
So when you're talking about traditional soul food sides, you'd mentioned black-eyed peas and collard greens. Is there anything else, or are there any other foods in general that are in that soul food category that fall in that Thanksgiving celebration?
So definitely mac and cheese, and then candy jams really round out kind of the core of the soul food sides. And then, the entree is the chitlins. That's the thing, and chitlins and ham that we put along with the turkey.
All right, so as a youth between 88 and 92, I swore I was as black as they came. I knew all the gangster rap, all this stuff. But and I've heard of chitlins, and I see them in the grocery store in the frozen section. I have no idea how to prep them. I don't know how you eat them or what they're supposed to taste like. I mean, can you give us a little bit of a high level on that?
Yeah. So basically, you got to make sure you clean them really well. because chitlins are pig intestines.
Right.
And then, so then you stew them. So you just get some seasonings, some onion. Some people put in a raw potato to soak up the grease. And you just got to make sure you skim the grease off. And then you just cook them till they're nice and tender. A lot of people have them that way. That's the way I usually have them. But you can go an extra step and take the stewed chitlins and then batter and fry them.
Ooh.
That's another way that people do it. I don't know if you know this, but in Sally, South Carolina, every August they have a chitlin strut where thousands of people go to Sally and have chitlins. And I have on good information that you can smell it at the 25-mile marker outside of town.
Smelling in a good way. Is it an acquired taste or and smell and thing, or no? When it's good and it's good.
Oh no, it's definitely acquired taste and smell. Like some of it, think of it as a funk. I think of it as a perfume, but that I got issues. So.
Okay, so let me try and tie this into maybe from what my audience might be able to. Is this like a dry age kind of a funk kind of a thing where you either love it or you hate it kind of a thing?
Yeah, you either love it or you hate it. There's nobody on the fence about chitlins. You'll never hear somebody say, "Hey, I kind of like chitlins." You'll never hear that.
Love or hate, I get it. Adrian Miller joining me here on the show at Soul Food Scholar on Twitter. You can see him there. Hitting people up and posting all of his finds and so forth. So give him a follow on the Twitter. So let's talk about some different styles of turkeys as you've seen in your travels. I think turkey is for as much as everybody's going to eat it within 48 hours, it quickly evaporates off the face of the earth. And I don't know why. I thought when we saw Central Texas barbecue really come to prominence over the last 5 or 6 years, and a lot of those places, a lot of great barbecue places have turkey on the menu. I thought as barbecue seemed to come up more in the general population, overall turkey consumption would lift, but I don't think I've actually seen that rise. So I'm just wondering what your take is on that. Like, why do you think it just kind of falls off the face of the earth? Is it out of sight, out of mind? And obviously the first question, which was, how many different kinds of turkeys have you seen?
Man, I'm just seeing turkey all over the place. Because one of the things, as I do research for my forthcoming book on barbecue, I'm trying to see if there's an African-American barbecue aesthetic. If there's ways that barbecue plays out in the black community that you don't see in other places. So like you said, a lot of barbecue joints, you may have turkey breasts on the menu, but I'm seeing more and more turkey options on menus at black run barbecue places. And I think this is the same trend that's happened in soul food. For the most part, most soul food joints are either not using pork to season their vegetables, or they've switched to smoked turkey just to give their customers a healthier option. So I think it's playing out that way in barbecue. So in the black run joints. So for instance, I'm seeing now turkey tips. So instead of a pork rib tip, what they're doing is they're taking that tenderloin cut and just cutting it up a little bit more and cooking at that and putting barbecue sauce. I'm seeing more turkey hot links. And the interesting thing is when I was in Memphis, I saw somebody take turkey and pull it to mimic pulled pork, and then they just the same preparation as on a sandwich with the coleslaw and the sauce. And I've just when I reached out on Twitter, I got word that there's somebody in Carolina who's doing basically a Carolina style chopped turkey sandwich. So I think people are just trying to adapt and give someone a similar feel to what they may be used to with the traditional pork. But again, it's a healthier option, and I think it might be a cheaper option. I'm just not sure about that. But I'm seeing it more and more.
Are you a fan of turkey? I think I wouldn't call turkey the same as chitlins, where it's love or hate. But I think a lot of people find that turkey might be kind of bleh, and maybe they're really into Thanksgiving because of all of the other stuff that surrounds the turkey. They can have turkey mashed potatoes and stuffing all in one bite, and they shove it in their mouth. So you're kind of hiding turkey. But are you a turkey guy in general?
Yeah, I am a turkey guy. In fact, as I cook, I've switched to using more smoked turkey. So I'm either going to use a smoked turkey leg or a smoked turkey wing to flavor my greens and black-eyed peas and other things like that. And a function of that is just, here I am in Colorado, I'm not getting a lot of great smoked pork products. When I mentioned this, when I admitted this in Atlanta a few years ago, somebody raised their hand in the audience and said, "What's wrong with the pigs in Colorado?" So it's mainly for health and taste that I've used more and more smoked turkey. So I like it.
Are you in Denver or like around the Denver area or no?
Yeah, I'm in Denver, Colorado.
You ever been to GQ Barbecue?
Absolutely. I know Jason very well.
He just got inducted into the Rocky Mountain Barbecue Association's Hall of Fame.
Oh, I did not know that.
2 weeks
ago. Give him a shout out.
That's right. No doubt. He's doing it good.
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about this current year. I mean, we're obviously well towards the end of it, but were there any food trends that you didn't see coming that all of a sudden sprung up over the course of the year that you were like, wow, I can't believe I'm reading about this on Twitter or I'm seeing about this on Instagram? Something that just came out of nowhere that you were surprised with?
Yeah, so the biggest one, and maybe I'm just slow to the game, but I'm just seeing pork belly everywhere now in barbecue joints, and I just didn't expect that. I kind of had an idea that turkey might be coming on, but man, the pork belly everywhere, I just did not see that coming.
Yeah, I saw that was like early summer. Somebody brought out, maybe it was even earlier than that, the pork belly burnt ends. They were cubing them and all that. That really took off on social media, and then I think restaurants obviously wanted to pile on and bring in extra revenue streams, so they started getting into the pork belly. That's probably where you're seeing it then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, either sliced or, treated like a burnt end.
Give me a prediction for 2019. What do you think a food trend might pop up, or something that might just be catching on now that's really going to gain steam and push through 2019?
Man, I just think if somebody can figure out how to smoke vegetables and fruit and do it well, that's money. I mean, that's forever. So I think more chefs and barbecue pitmasters are going to try to get up their game on fruits and vegetables. That's what I think.
Are you seeing a trend? I mean, you're talking a little bit more about turkey being more widely available, at least as you're seeing it. Now you're talking about fruits and vegetables. Are you looking as a population of starting to eat a little bit better, or at least not only talking about it but actually doing it?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm starting to see jackfruit in a lot of places. And jackfruit, if somebody knows what they're doing, you can make it look and taste like pork.
Yep.
So I'm starting to see that pop up a little bit more.
I think I saw somebody do a jackfruit brisket.
I haven't seen that yet. It's always been a pulled or chopped treatment that I've seen, but man, I would like to check that out. And then I don't know if you've seen on social media that smoked watermelon.
No.
It looks disgusting, but I think it's actually something I want to try.
Really?
Yeah. But charred smoke and charred is a flavor profile that's popping up on white tablecloth restaurants. So I just think as people play around with smoke, I think we're going to see it with fruit and vegetables.
Where are you at on a book writing thing right now?
So I'm not on the ground floor anymore. I'm pretty much got 2 chapters done out of 8, and I don't have to turn in the manuscript till about a year from now. But, man, I've got so much good stuff already. I might even finish that early. Don't tell my editor that, though. I don't want to put more pressure on myself. But I'm so excited to write this book, man. I mean, I could just sit down and just write for hours. That's how much cool stuff I'm finding. Now I'm in the point where I've got a lot of great stuff. So now it's a matter of just finding the best stories to move the book along.
What's the name of the book?
Black Smoke. I'm very proud of that.
Black Smoke. All right.
Yeah. And Adventures in African American Barbecue Culture. That's kind of the subtitle.
So do you see like a difference? I mean, I don't want to say between white barbecue and black barbecue, but I mean, is there a difference between what you're researching and what you see out there otherwise?
Yeah, so I think I'm seeing kind of a standard for African Americans that really defies regional characterization. So pretty much if you go into a black-run barbecue place, I think most African American consumers are expecting to see ribs, chicken, and hot links. Everything else is kind of on the side. Now, brisket was not a big deal at all unless you were in Kansas City or Texas. But I think because of the ascendancy of Texas barbecue, I think more and more places are now putting brisket on the menu. Now, the sad thing about that is a lot of them just really don't know what they're doing. So it would be better if they just left it off. But I think they feel a lot of pressure to have some brisket on the menu now.
So in Cleveland, there was a place called Hot Sauce Williams that actually just closed down a year or so ago, and that was like the long-run standing. Actually, you know what? I think there might be the original ended up shutting down, I think, over a year ago. And there were a couple other places that were similar in idea. And what I had noticed more than anything was these ribs were like they would fall into that hot and fast category. Yep. It's like a 55-gallon drum turned on its side. There's charcoal. There's a prevalent charcoal taste on the meat. It was actually cooked pretty well, a little different than I guess I would typically do it. But that's I guess, kind of what I associate with like ethnic style barbecue versus the traditional Southern style.
Yeah, no, you're right. So the hot and fast, cooking over charcoals, and also saucing up your barbecue. I mean, you see that a lot in black run barbecue joints. So, this idea that there's only one kind of barbecue, that it has to be low and slow, no sauce, I think that's too restrictive, because that's definitely part of the African-American barbecue aesthetic, what you're seeing. And again, I see that no matter where I am in the country.
You want to do a lightning round?
Yeah.
Let's do a lightning round. Screw it. Here we go. Actually, I'm going to go. Let me see if I can do the music with you. It didn't work with Steven the last time, but I'll dump it down a little bit too. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Little Milt Buckner for everybody here. Little lightning round music. We're doing it with Adrian Miller. All right, I'm going to give you a couple options. Don't do the Steven Raichlen and make up your own, or pick both. I mean, I don't think I have to worry about that with you, Adrian. You're a pretty opinionated guy, but here we go. Flay or brown?
Ooh, brown.
Ooh, all right. Lump or briquette?
Briquette.
Yes or no? Searing seals in the juices.
Yes.
No!
It doesn't?
No! What are you... Oh, my God. We'll have to talk about that off the air. Let it rest or let's eat.
Man, I'm about let's eat.
I heard that. Spatchcock or beer can chicken?
Beer can.
Open pit or Sweet Baby Ray's?
Ooh, open pit. That's old school.
What is with you, Pete? I think I've asked that question 7 times, and 6 out of 7 people have said open pit. You know,
that's old school, man. That's what I grew up on.
It stains your teeth orange, for crying out loud. Watch out.
That's what whitening toothpaste is for.
That's right. Well, Sazerac or old fashioned?
Oh, old fashioned.
Okay. Pasta or pizza?
Pizza.
Black coffee or cream and sugar?
Black coffee.
Money or free time?
Ooh. Free time.
Family Guy or South Park?
Family Guy.
All right. I buy that. It's Adrian Miller. You can find him, by the way, at the website, which is adrianmiller.com. And
Adrian E. Miller.
AdrianEMiller.com. And then you can also find him on the Twitter at Soul Food Scholar. As always, a stimulating conversation. Adrian, appreciate the time, man, and happy Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday.
All right, appreciate you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
You got it. There he is. Adrian Miller killing it again. How good is that guy? I think I want to make him a monthly guest appearance.
Traeger Grills hotline.
And he brings it. So good. Way to go, Adrian. Adrian E. Miller, E as in Echo, AdrianEMiller.com, or at Soul Food Scholar on the Twitter. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Cook Shack before we get to wrapping the first hour. Cook Shack manufactures smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience. Whether you barbecue in the backyard, on the competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility, Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job. And with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice and share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. They still have one of them. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions. Why? Because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Moore. The FEC 100 and PG 1000 are always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast, the pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack residential electric smokers are the #1 smoker in the industry, so if you don't like pellet cookers, that's what you want to take a look at. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can make in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698. Or again, visit the website cookshack.com. That's cookshack.com. All right, thanks again to Adrian Miller, the Soul Food Scholar, and we are back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is your email. This one in from John Dawson. Subject line, a secular holiday. Rems, not to get too deep in the weeds, which of course means we're going to get deep in the weeds. Not to get too deep in the weeds, but I would strongly encourage Stephen Raichlen to put his French literature books down and revisit his American history books. Thanksgiving did not start as and was never intended to be a secular holiday. The Puritans were about as devoutly Christian as it gets. John, I believe I also will have to be picking up an American history book. I didn't even think Thanksgiving was like a real holiday. It was just like a great day for us to get together and eat. Holiday means no work. Secular. All right. Stephen Raichlen happened in the first hour. BBQBible.com if you're looking for recipes, especially outside of the box sides, check them out. BBQBible.com. Also, thanks again to Adrian Miller for joining me, and he's got Black Smoke, which is evidently ahead of schedule. He's got a couple chapters already written, so we'll look for that. Follow up with him as that release gets nearer and nearer, or closer and closer. Also, he says turkey on the rise, and he's been out traveling a lot more than me, as he had mentioned Chicago, Memphis, Seattle, Phoenix. Then also going to Houston and the Carolinas after the first of the year. But pulled turkey, turkey tips. What was a lemon icebox cake? Is that what he said? That sounded delicious. Gotta get that recipe. As soon as I get it, I'll put it up on the website as well, so keep a lookout for that. I'll make announcements as I get it out there. His website, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, AdrianEMiller.com, or you can find him on Twitter. He's pretty active there, at Soul Food Scholar. That's at Soul Food Scholar. Great stuff. I'm glad Adrian did not... well, first of all, I mean, is Open Pit the most vile barbecue sauce on the face of the earth? Now, to live in complete hypocrisy, which I love to do, I would take an Open Pit barbecue sauce over a barbecue sauce that had prevalent liquid smoke on the bouquet. But outside of that, Open Pit is some of the worst barbecue sauce ever. And it stains you. Your teeth, your skin, people around you, your psyche. It's horrible. Some of the worst. Kraft Original might be the bottom of the barrel barbecue sauce, but Open Pit is really close. All right, we're going to step away and reload for the second hour. Big one coming up, Grill Mama, so set your clocks. She's coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Refresh your libations and meet me back here in about a couple minutes. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet 4 wiener. Now listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. You've done it. Congratulations. You found the Barbecue Central show. We talk about a lot of cool barbecue and grilling type stuff here. We do it each and every Tuesday, a live show from 9 to 11. It's also being recorded at the same time. And hour 1 of this show will be released on Wednesday. Hour 2 will be released on Thursday. Also, the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less continues to be released every Friday. Thanks to John Solberg. Appreciate that. So 3 consecutive days of Barbecue Central show stuff. And over the last couple weeks, you've actually been getting 4 out of 7 days with bonus content. Michael Simon last week. And this week, you got some Manila Kelso with Snake River Farms. So, man, oh, man, you have been getting the Barbecue Central show content fast and furious. And it show no signs of stopping. John Dawson weighing in again with the subject line Open Pit Remps. Being from the hinterlands of Ashtabula, I too grew up eating open pit in the 70s, but the current version is vile. With the staining, perhaps we have now cracked the Trump mystery.
I'm a man! I'm 40!
Maybe. Maybe the president is a lover of open pit. I don't know. I can guarantee you he will not be on this show. Way too busy. I've tweeted him out many times asking him if he would like to come on and talk about barbecue and grilling. I've not gotten any answer. However, I can only assume he might be a little bit more of a difficult chase than Michael Simon, and that took me well over 2 years. So stick with the show. That's what I'm telling you. You never know who's going to fall out. You never know who's going to be coming up. For instance, I didn't know if I was going to be able to book my guest in the next segment, Grill Mama, but I did. So keep the positive outlook. You never know who's going to come on this show. Getting Michael Simon on the show in whatever form ended up being, that was, pre-recorded, but he still did it. That could stem the tide. That could turn the tide. Could have the likes of B. Flay, A. Brown, IG, and I'm not talking about Instagram. I'm talking about the woman who I would marry on the Food Network. Ina Garten. Bring it. Bring it. And she can keep Jeffrey, too. That dude's funny. As I'd mentioned, still to come on the show tonight, Melissa Grill Mama Riome. So check her out in about 12 minutes from now. Don't forget to follow me socially on these media platforms at BBQ Central Show on Instagram. That's at BBQ Central Show. You can also follow me at the same handle on Twitter, Facebook. Just drop in the website and then at the end /BBQ Central Show and then give my page a like. Also in the news button feature, make sure that you show the Barbecue Central to show in your feed first. There's a setting there if you mess around with it. You can show all of the stuff. Anytime I dump something new into my Facebook and you mark it as show first, it will show right at the top of your feed. So you'll be kept alert on all breaking news and posts, hot takes, all that crap right there in your news feed. Also, don't forget that I am doing a weekly in-studio appearance locally here in Cleveland on the John Cupo Show. The radio station is actually based in Willoughby, Ohio, so if you have any type of direction or locality recognition here in the great North Coast, that's where it is, just on the outskirts of Willoughby, really. But it's a small little station. I had listened to it this morning, and I went from 90 east, I was heading westbound into town, and right before I got to where 90 and 2 split off over by Burke Lakefront Airport, it started to sketch out a little bit. So, from Willoughby to there, it's probably about a 15-minute drive. So, 20 miles-ish, I would say. But as promised, they're going to turn that, what do you call that thing? Tower? They're going to turn it up, and it should blast out towards Lorraine. I mean, that's damn near an hour from Willoughby. So there should be some reach coming. So we're just slowly building the fire on the John Cupo show right now. And it usually starts around 7:30 in the morning on a Friday, every Friday. I will be on the show this Friday. I believe all of his normal scheduled guests have backed out, but not me. I said, we said every Friday, I will be here. I'm here when I work. I will be here when I don't work. I'm happy to do it. So if you are not doing anything Friday at 07:30 Eastern, nursing a hangover, nursing your overeating hangover, or whatever it is, tune me in, wintradio.com, I think, or just search WINT Radio in Google and you'll get the address. Email from Dion Blumenrader. Greg, discovered your show on podcast about a month ago and wanted to let you know that it has changed my life. I used to be engrossed in politics and political talk shows and was slowly losing my soul as they eroded my spirit and filled me with division and hate, which is a microcosm of exactly what's going on in this country anymore, regardless of idiotic political affiliation. A friend turned me on to podcasting. I searched around and ended up finding your show. Not even sure how I really did that. Let's call it fate. Okay, let's do that. I've thoroughly enjoyed every second of it, and I listen to it every single day, and I'm doing it through the archives. I have a lot of catching up to do, but I'm more than willing and up for the task. Your show is very unique, extremely professionally done, which makes it easy to listen to and contains so much information that I can use and has made me a listener for life. I don't know what motivates you to put the work into the show that you do, but I am very appreciative that you do it. Keep up the great work and keep raising the bar on barbecue podcasts as you are already doing. I also wanted to let you know I just ordered a Gorilla Grill Silverback series yesterday, and your show was pivotal in my decision because of all the information you offered and the interview you did with them. I'll back out of this email for a second. I did that interview at National Barbecue, Barbecue 2018. Mark and Shane were at the conference, and we brought them in and had a little powwow with them. That's what he's talking about. You offered, let me back into that email now, Silverback Series yesterday, and your show was pivotal in my decision because of all the information you offered and the interview you did with them. Honestly, wouldn't have known about them out here in South Dakota had it not been for your show. I compete with a friend of mine at mostly backyard stuff up here, and we use a offset reverse flow stick burner, and I use a Hunsaker drum. And we'll now look forward to adding this gorilla to the fleet. We are Big Hoss Barbecue, and we have a Facebook page. Thanks again for all you do, Greg, and War Great Barbecue Podcasts. Hope I use that right, as I used to be an avid Jim Rome listener until our radio station dropped it. What?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Radio station dropped Romy. Oh, my Lord. Luckily, you can listen online at cbsradio.com. If you have the ability to stream audio. I'm assuming you do, Dion. Grateful listener, Dion Blumenrader, Big Hoss Barbecue. Dion, thank you, sir. What a well-crafted email. Thank you so much. Appreciate your appreciation for the show, the content that it is providing, the guests that we are bringing on, the topics that we are covering. And by we, I mean me. and the core group, the embedded correspondents, and John Solberg, who I guess technically is an embedded correspondent. He's in the bullpen ready to go when anybody else backs out or has other pressing issues. But he is in the circle of confidence, also Stover Harger III, SH3, as we call him today. So we're happy to bring this content to you. I'm more than happy to put in this work during my free time outside of normal daytime business hours. We're just trying to put together a great show that has some entertainment, has a lot of real value for you to be able to go right out in the backyard, or when the show is a little bit more onto the competition stuff, you could turn out that weekend and try and help you compete a little bit better, things of this nature. So, yeah. Very happy that you're interested in the show and that you're listening, Dion. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. All right, we got Melissa Riome coming up, Grill Mama. Lots to talk to her about. Can't wait. In the meantime, I'm going to quickly talk to you about Green Mountain Grills. These are really some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market. 3 different ones to choose from. If you are somebody that's really on the move, but you want that pellet-fired taste, the Davy Crockett is the one that you really have to look at. And you can actually cook quite a bit of food in this portable unit. If you don't have access to a traditional power outlet, don't worry, because you can also use the 12-volt adapter that's in your car, truck, van, and SUV. By the way, this unit will fit in the back of cars, trucks, and SUVs. So if you're really into college football and that tailgate scene, or professional football and that tailgate scene, or if your school's still in it, high school tailgate scene, you're ready to rock and roll. Now, if you want something a little bit more permanent on the back patio, or that you can pull out to the street block parties from the backyard, Daniel Boone or the Jim Bowie, something you're going to want to do. If you're on the fence, if you're really looking at the Daniel Boone, but your first thought is, do I want to spend the extra money for the Jim Bowie? I say yes. You're never going to regret spending a couple $100 extra bucks and getting the bigger one. You will always regret saving what will be in your mind at that point as just a couple $100 bucks and not having the room that you want, or always looking at it going, I should have got the big. Don't live with remorse. Don't live with regret. Spend a couple extra $100 bucks if you're on the fence and get the bigger one, or get them both. You know you're going to use them. Here's the great thing. Either the Daniel Boone or the Jim Bowie can be converted into that high-heat pizza oven with the Green Mountain Grill pizza oven insert. So you just rip the guts out of either one of those cookers, you drop in the pizza insert, and then you're off and running. If you don't feel like doing dough today, do you have a great market where you can buy really big pitas? I do. I go downtown, go to Aladdin's Bakery, get really extra large pitas, put the sauce, put the toppings on. Man, they cook up great. I run my cooker at 320 degrees. It's about 640 degrees or so in the oven on the stone. Makes perfect pizzas for me. You do it how you like, but for 130 bucks, it's almost part and parcel. You get the Jim Bowie, or you get the Daniel Boone, you have to get the pizza oven insert. All right, Grill Mama coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. That's right. You looking to be a committed cook this year? Well, head on over to SmokingWithSmithfield.com and sign up for the Committed Cooks program. That's right. You got 500 spots. It's like $25 to sign up. That basically covers the shipping. you get like a couple $100 worth of really cool Smithfield swag. So come on. You got to go out, be a committed cook. Don't forget, they also track first place in ribs, first place in pork, so you can get some extra swag there as well. Just appreciate the support from the good folks over at Smithfield. Absolutely, and they'll be continuing on in 2019 as well. All right, my guest in the second hour is quite the go-getter, full-time day job, full-time parent, and full-time Instagrammer to top it all off. If you are on Instagram following good barbecue and grilling stuff, I bet you're already following my next guest. Her handle is @GrillMama. She is catering each and every day to her 85,000-plus followers with great content. So we race to the hotline and welcome first-timer to the show, Melissa Riome. Melissa, how are you?
Hey, Greg. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you making time for the show tonight. And lots of different places that we can start. Typically, I do like background and stuff first, but I think we'll actually roll that back until the next segment. And let's hit the impending Thanksgiving holiday. So I've asked both of my guests in the first hour what their childhood recollections were of Thanksgiving and what it was like for you growing up and all that. So give us some of your high-level thoughts and what do you remember coming up as a kid in Thanksgiving?
I think very much like Stephen and Adrian, for me, my best memories was going to my grandmother's house, and she was kind of like the matriarch of the family, and she sat behind, like right in front of the stove, and had a huge table that basically the entire kitchen was a table, and everybody would sit around the table, and the kids would be in the next room, and she baked her own bread, and she was one of those, you think of that wonderful grandmother that just bakes way too much food, and there was pie everywhere, and just food everywhere, enough for twice as many, 3 times as many people. And you would walk into that kitchen and see all that food, and it was just amazing, you know. And I think a lot of that's lost anymore, right?
What do you attribute that to? Is it just everybody's trying to get it right now, and everybody's trying to make all the money and blah blah blah, or what do you think?
You know, for myself, like you said before, you know, I work full time. My husband works full time. And I think a lot of people are burning the candle at both ends anymore. Myself, you know, I'm working Thanksgiving, which is tough, right? My family lives in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My other family, Syracuse, New York. And then, you know, further south than that. So the reality of being in the medical profession is, you know, you have to be there for your patients. They're first. And then sadly, your family's second sometime. But at least it's shorter hours on the holiday. So I could still get home and cook something, but I can't make as big as a feast as I usually like to.
So do you think 30 years ago, like all this extended family was just way more close to each other than we are now?
Yeah, I feel like it's different times. Yeah. You know, I can't speak for when my grandmother was younger, but I know my mother had many siblings, so there was always this huge family, and there were always people coming and going out, through that door. Even if it wasn't family, it was your friends that were also your family. And now, when I can't see my actual family on the holidays, I'm walking up the street with a ham to the neighbor's house, because they are your family too. It's just a different sense of the term, just not blood relatives family, right? Your friends are important as well, and sometimes you kind of make them your family when you can't actually see your own family.
Melissa Riome joining me here on the show at Grill Mama on Instagram. So, as you had mentioned, you're going to be kind of working on Thanksgiving, so that's going to stifle maybe some of the grandiose plans, but
right.
What kind of Thanksgiving, if it wasn't a year that you would be working,
Right.
What kind of a traditional Thanksgiving do you do? Or perhaps do you like to skew it the other way and not be traditional?
I am pretty traditional. I'm all about, I have to say the turkey isn't my favorite part of the whole meal. I'm all about the stuffing. Like, I will go through all this trouble to make sure the turkey's spectacular for everybody else, but stuffing's my jam. Give me a hunk of cold stuffing out of the refrigerator the next morning, and I don't even need to heat it up. I'm happy. But I'll make all the, traditional sides. Of course, the mashed potatoes and corn. Hey, I have to ask you, that corn you were talking about, was that like the white corn?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite. You can't find it that much, and like you said, there's
for us it is. So I live 10 miles south east directly of downtown Cleveland, and then another 20 miles directly east of me is this town called Perry, and it's nothing but farm. So there's a lot of nursery, so they grow for actually like the Lowe's and the Home Depot stuff. They grow out there, but then there's these corn farms, and right there in the middle to end of August, that 2 to 3 week time frame, the Silver King corn. It's like, Jesus drops it out of the sky onto the stalk, and it is just, and everybody shows up. It's a ghost town 11 months out of the year, but for that 1 month, everybody is showing up, and they are buying. It's not like you buy 6 ears. You're buying 6 dozen at a time because that could be the last time you get it, and it is a magical piece of corn, I can tell you that.
Oh, I'm jealous. There's a place called Kundla's Bar. I grew up in Pennsylvania, Scranton, Pennsylvania, but there's a place called Kundla's Barbecue Pit. And it's a big outdoor open fire barbecue pit where they do ribs and chicken. It's amazing. But they always have that white corn. And it's honestly my favorite part of the whole thing. And you could buy bags of it. And it's not like you can go and buy, huge amounts like that, but oh my God, I love it. Like I wish I had something like that where I could do that here. But anyway, so the corn and mashed potatoes and stuffing, and I'm a Brussels sprout girl. Pancetta, bacon, maybe some carrots with dill and butter, and but very traditional for me. Give me the basics. I used to go above and beyond and make way too much food. But what happens when you're the cook in the kitchen? You get stressed out. You sit there and look at this huge table of food, and half the time, most of it's left over, right?
Right.
So kind of like, everybody, what's your favorites? What do you want? What can't you live without? And then I'll make some extra things as well. I'm trying to make some homemade pies, even though I'm working. Like tonight, I'm going to get my turkey started and dry brining that. So I work all day tomorrow, so I can't prep tomorrow. That way, when I get home from work, or even before I go to work, I'll start doing some stuff on Thanksgiving and then finish it when I get home.
So what's your favorite way to do turkey?
Traditionally, I'm a wet brine girl, and I won't spatchcock it, but I'm actually going to, because of my short kind of time schedule this year, I'm actually going to spatchcock it and dry brine it, which I've never actually dry brined a bird before, or not a turkey at least. So we're going to do something different. Why not? I just cooked a turkey a couple days ago and wet brined it, so I just have a lot of turkey going on lately.
Would it give you extra confidence to know that Meathead actually, from AmazingRibs.com, does only recommend dry brining and spatchcocking?
Well, for me, I like to experiment and do different things. I know the issue with wet brining is that it's not penetrating into the meat. But for me, when I'm wet brining, all that good stuff and the drippings that I'm using to make gravy out of, it is picking up some of that flavor from the brine that is, coming off of that turkey. So when people talk about the negative about wet brining, they're often like, that's it. It doesn't get in the meat. You just get the salt. What's the point? Just dry brine it. But for me, that's adding extra layers of flavor to my gravy and everything. So I get it. It's messier. It's more time consuming. It's probably easier to dry brine. But, for me, either way, I don't care. I have a briner bucket. It's not like I have some big cooler where I'm, taking up a ton of space. It's not a project to boil some stuff on the stove and make a wet brine. And it smells fabulous. So for me, it's not a big deal. For some people who may think that's a lot of work, the hell with it. Don't bother. Go ahead and dry brine your bird. But, when you're on a time schedule, then, hey, this is great too. So I'm team either way. Do what the heck you want,
Why not? Do you have a method of if you've left the turkey in the freezer too long and, it's not too big where you might not be able to defrost? Do you have like a favorite quick defrost method?
First of all, don't be that person. Second of all, anybody watching this, don't be that person. But no, you can just throw it for anybody who is listening and hasn't had their turkey defrosting. You could just throw it. You have to make sure it's covered with cold water first. So whether it's a cooler, a bucket, fill the cooler up, throw that frozen bird in there. And the thought is that you need to replace that water like every 30 minutes to keep it cold, because you don't want it to be in the danger zone and growing bacteria and everything. So I believe they say it's about 30 minutes per pound of turkey. So if you have a 12-pound turkey, you're looking at 6 hours. Now, of course, that means changing the water every 30 minutes for 6 hours. So ideally, if it's today and you realize that you didn't defrost it, yeah, you could get that done tomorrow if you didn't have to be work or after work. So it is possible to do so. I wouldn't want to do it with a giant bird and be babysitting it for 10 hours to defrost it. But for anybody who's at that point today, yeah, it's feasible. You could do it. Absolutely.
What's your target finish temp on turkey?
I pull it around 160 because you're going to get that carryover. So a lot of people look at the recommendations and they go, 165 deep in the breast. And of course, the dark meat's going to be higher. But what do these people do a lot of people read recipes and it's in black and white to them, right? But people who cook know, okay, it's not necessarily like that. You have to, accommodate for carryover temperature. So I'll usually pull it around 160 and then I'll just loosely tent foil over it. By the time it actually carries over, I let it sit for a good half an hour, with the foil tented over it, and it'll carry to 165. So you pull it at 165, it goes to 170 or higher, then you're kind of getting to the area where,
hope you have enough gravy.
Still going to be good.
Yeah, right. From a dark meat, white meat, do you have a preference, or do you pretty much eat any of the turkey regardless?
I am team both. However, I am give me the turkey leg, but give me white meat off the breast too. But I don't want the thighs. So I will do both. And I'm the only person in my family who will eat the legs. So
really?
They're all mine. But I'll have some, if I'm mixing some turkey in with some mashed potatoes and gravy, I want the white meat. If I'm just sitting there going all carnivore, I want my turkey leg.
So what's your gravy recipe? I know a lot of people like to use drippings, and some people let them, like if they're cooking on a grill, they don't put a pan underneath, or they haven't given it enough thought to put a catch underneath it. So what's your process in that?
I'm not somebody who, I will grill my bird, but I will not smoke my bird beyond the flavor that I'm getting off of the charcoal. So, a lot of people will throw extra hickory or pecan or whatever it may be, apple in there with their turkey. And I don't want smoky flavor in my gravy. So for me, I don't do that. I'll get the drippings. I'll usually keep some turkey stock on hand. In an ideal world, if I'm not so busy with work and everything, it would be great to roast some turkey bones with some, celery and onion and herbs and everything, and then make stock out of that. But let's face it, sometimes, we're in a pinch, we're busy with our lives, and we need to do it. So I'll always, boil all the gizzards and, all of that stuff, kind of use that, plus some turkey stock, use aromatics, and the drippings that I get off the turkey after I strain all that off and everything as well. So
let's talk about 2018. And what you saw as a food trend either emerge and take over the world, or one that started out hot and kind of petered off. Or give me one of each. Adrian Miller said he thought that it was the rise and fall of the pork belly. What do you think?
I think pork belly isn't necessarily gone. And it depends if you're talking about pork belly burnt ends, that is just kind of like blown up all over the place. But for me, my favorite is like crispy pork belly. And a lot of people get intimidated by doing it because they either, don't get that crackle. And for me, that's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of gratification of knowing you did it and you did it well. Anybody can make pork belly burnt ends. That's, easy. You just smoke them, throw them in some stuff. And that was very much like a fad, a better fad than beer can chicken.
Agreed.
But for me, it depends what we're talking about pork belly. I wouldn't say, the whole crispy pork belly, that's been something that's been around for a long time and not necessarily a fad, but I think the pork belly burnt ends are getting to that point where it's just like, okay, we've seen it, we've done it. I think originally when that was done from, bacon and making actual like curing bacon and making, burnt ends out of that. That's amazing. But that's not what the majority of people do, right? They just cube up pork belly, smoke it, throw some sauce in there, get it all tender and everything, render that fat down. And to me, I'll eat it and I'll go, okay, but I'm not like wildly craving it and loving it.
Yeah.
The crispy pork belly done well, I absolutely love that.
I did the pork belly burn ends, I think 3 or 4 times over the course of like late spring through the summer. And I have myself, I'm the man in the family, and then I have 3 daughters and a wife. And I mean, it's a pretty good gauge there on what is good eating, because they'll eat it, and then you can either see the fire in the eyes, like, oh, this is something that we should be making a lot more of, like a lot more frequently, or they're like, this tastes good. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and the pork belly was kind of more in the latter. And what I found was, so it looks cool, it's a pretty easy process, tastes really good, but when you actually put it in your mouth, it's pretty rich. I mean, it's a pretty fatty piece of meat. Even when you render it down, there's still a lot of internal fat. So I thought after, 5 pieces, I mean, I was pretty much done. I wasn't going to, fit another 20 or so down my mouth. Like, I could eat 20 atomic buffalo turds because they're delicious, but I couldn't eat 20 pork belly burn ends, I don't think.
No, I'm right there with you. I can eat a couple. And like you said, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on that specific piece of pork belly you got, how lean it was. And God forbid, if it's a really fatty piece, you could have that sitting there smoking, rendering for like so long, and still you're at that point. Now, I know like some people will, compress it down to, try to lessen that effect, but yeah, you're just going to walk away with a stomach ache after a few pieces. So it's, and then you have this big vat of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's not something that I want to eat the next day. I'll eat it, go, okay, that's pretty good. And then I'm done with it. Bacon, on the other hand, that I'll just keep eating.
Yeah, I agree with that. Predictions for 2019. Do you see something emerging that's really going to hit at the turn of the year, or maybe something that's kind of popular now that you think might really gain steam towards the beginnings of 2019?
Oh, God. That's hard. I don't know. I'm starting to see, not necessarily in the whole world of barbecue, but, and I haven't given that much thought, but I'm seeing a lot of people, even within my, say, grilling barbecue friends, really getting into doing pizzas now. I know that it's on, it's something that's not like a fad or a trend, but usually in terms of people grilling, you don't see that as much. People occasionally do it. I think some people, depending on the grill, are a little intimidated by doing it well. And I'm seeing a lot more people kind of get into that. And I have a lot of people message me like, how do you do your pizza dough? How do you do this? How do you do that? But I think that's really cool, because so many people just go to the store, buy pizza dough, and people kind of getting that hands-on, okay, I'm doing this start to finish, doing it myself. And there's so much, for me, there's so much more gratification in saying, yes, I made that dough. I did everything. I made that sauce. I completely made that pizza. And, I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Do you have a dough recipe that you can share with us quickly, or is it more
I
involved?
use, if you Google it, it's the Antimo Caputo 00 flour. So a lot of these, 00 flours are what you'll see in a lot of like Roberta's. Like Roberta's has a good pizza dough recipe online, but the one I use, there's actually a PDF online. So that flour, that Antimo Caputo 00 flour, you can buy repackaged on Amazon, or you could buy it direct from Forno Bravo. And if anybody watching this wants the recipe, just send me a message or drop me an email, and I could just send you the file too. But it's not hard. I mean, you can do it by hand. I do it in a KitchenAid mixer, and then just finish it by hand and roll it all out. And it's not that hard, a couple hours, and you have a whole bunch of dough. You can freeze it if you want to use on another day. So what, you spend a couple hours of time. I think that's the biggest complaint. People say, but that takes so much time. I'm like, so what? You're sitting there on a day off watching TV, right? Get up, spend a couple of minutes to mix it, right? Then it has to sit for a couple hours and rise, whatever. Get back up, make a ball. The actual time that you're actually doing it isn't that much. You just kind of work it into everything else you're doing. And it's not hard. It's easy. And there's only a couple ingredients. It's quite literally, flour, salt, yeast, and water. That's it. So It's easy, and it doesn't cost much to do it either. So.
Melissa Riome, the Grill Mama, joining me here on the show. Can I hold you over for one more segment? We'll talk a little more like Instagram stuff.
Whatever you want, honey. Sure.
All right. Stand by. We are talking with the Grill Mama, Melissa Riome, right here on the show. We will be back with her in 1 second. I'll talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers. That's right, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the better path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces, the American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa's has something for everybody. They also are well known for the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners. On the competition circuit and in the backyard, Big Papa Smokers offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. Whether you're cooking to impress the judges or grilling for family and friends, Big Papa Smokers' award-winning rubs just don't disappoint. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everybody, Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated barbecue sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. And aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, Big Papa Smokers offers the very best pellet, charcoal, and wood cookers available today. You're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, and even offers special packages online. Not a fan of pellet smokers? All right. Take a look at the old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. And if you're a backyard enthusiast like me, looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Look, it's clear that Big Papa Smokers is the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website has been hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your barbecue skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers. If you have any questions, call them 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop the website, BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. We are back with the Grill Mama. Right after this, stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your house, you're in luck, because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. All right. Oh, there we go. Melissa, thanks for hanging with me through the break.
Hey.
So let's talk a little bit about your background and how you took whatever your food interest was and then found some type of a, pardon the pun, spark for live fire cook.
I always loved to cook. Most people that know me well, ever since I could reach a stove and cook with my mom, I was always in the kitchen cooking. So it wasn't something, poof, I just decided I wanted to cook when I was older. I was always there doing it. And, that was back in the day with my mom when, you were lucky you had a cookbook in the house. There wasn't the internet. I would sit there and just try to create stuff myself. We only had a gas grill growing up. I have 2 sisters and a brother. My sisters really weren't very interested in cooking and weren't very good at it either. So I would do the grilling at home. I remember one time my sister was out there and, I was probably like 12, 11 years old. And I'm like, don't touch the grill. I have to run to the store. I'll be right back. And I come back and she torched, the hair off of her face. And so I've always had this interest in cooking and grilling, but I didn't actually well, I should back up and say I always wanted a smoker of some sort. And, it wasn't until I actually had my own house that I'm like, all right, now I want one. One of my good friends from college, he was talking about a big green egg. And I'm just like, what is this thing? I live in upstate New York, so it's not like we have grill stores to go to. I don't know what you're talking about. What's that, honey?
We're at in upstate New York.
I live in Vestal, which is right next to Binghamton, so an hour and a half south of Syracuse.
Sure, I know exactly where that is.
So yeah, we didn't have much like that here. So I remember him talking about it, and I'm like, well, if you I'm like, I want to do that. I'm like, tell me how this works. And I'm like, this is fascinating. And I'm like, I want one. So my big green egg was my first, I say, real grill, my non-gas grill way back when. And that day that I lit that big green egg, I was hooked. I lit that charcoal. I think I made like ribs and chicken. That was my first cook. And from that day on, my gas grill was storage for my big green egg supplies. So that just, again, it took off from there. And at that time, it was like anything and everything. I didn't use my oven. I didn't use my gas grill. Like anything I could cook, I'm like, because, let's face it, a big green egg, whether it's a Kamado style grill, it is like an oven. You can do anything in it. You can do low and slow, you can do fast. And I'm like, I don't need to use my stove. And especially in upstate New York, it's kind of funny because, 6 months we basically have winter. And you're in Ohio. Yep. So I'm out there doing this year round. And it was kind of funny and entertaining for me. And I'm like, for me, it was almost like a game. What can't I do on this? And I just love the thrill of it. I love the thrill of like starting a fire and being able to do that. So it was a couple years before I added any other grills. And it was just pretty much exclusive to using my big green egg. And much like some of the other people that have those style grills, it's like this passion. You get hooked on it and you're obsessed with it and you just absolutely love it. And then began my my Instagram, cooking and putting it on there as well.
How long ago was that? Like, when did you know about, or when did you kind of get into social media, but then when did you realize that you wanted to kind of harness the power, or when were you seeing that there was some type of traction with whatever you were doing and saying, hey, this is something I should really start to harness?
Well, I had a personal account first, and I was very naive to social media. I was one of the few that wasn't on Twitter. Yeah, I had a personal Facebook account. So it was me grilling stuff, showing it on my big green egg, and then, pictures of my animals and my family and stuff. And it was kind of interesting because you would have food accounts that would follow you or companies that would follow you. And then it got kind of weird because for me, it was like pictures of birds and then pictures of barbecue. And like then the onslaught of vegan attacks because I have birds, but yet I'm making a chicken and everything, which is ridiculous. But anybody in the barbecue world, at least on social media, has probably been, subject to the vegan attacks. But there was one day and I'm just like, you know what? I need to separate the two. I want to have an account where I could just basically follow other food accounts. And let's face it, on social media, a lot of us follow people that maybe necessarily, whether it's family or certain friends, you don't want to see their pictures. And, we don't want to admit that all the time. But I think it's true for a lot of people. So I wanted to create an account that was just my food, no pictures of my animals, no pictures of my family, just that, and go from there. And I was sitting in a restaurant one day and, decided to do it and created the account, sitting there having lunch by myself, and it took off. And it's a hell of a learning experience for anybody who's been there. And, a couple of years on Instagram, it was a much different beast. It took off really fast. I was naive. I didn't know anything that, people did stuff for companies. To me, it was just posting pictures. I didn't know there was this whole other world of marketing and, influencers or that whole other side of it. So when, that first time a company reaches out to you and says, hey, we want to send you our rubs or whatever it may be, you're like, wait, why do you want to send me this? And you're so naive at that point where, at least I was, a couple years ago, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They like what I do. But you don't realize necessarily they want it to do it for your exposure, right?
Right.
It's not really free per se. And so the whole thing, this has been a couple years now, and an unbelievable learning experience. Like I said, Instagram, as you know, is a much different beast than it was a few years ago. And it was much easier to grow a lot quicker. I would use products and if I liked them, I would absolutely say, yeah, that's what I use. Because the reality is I would post something and somebody go, oh, well, what is that on there? Or what kind of grill is that? Or, it wasn't, I bought my big green egg. It wasn't like they gave it to me.
Right.
And for me, it was being part of a community, right? You have all these other eggheads that are doing it. Hey, like, look at my pictures, or you hashtag, you see other people that are doing that as well. And you're learning from them, right? I was not, I'm a self-taught cook. I have no formal training. So me sitting there lighting that fire on my big green egg, if you have some kind of cooking background to begin with, and I always love to cook, then it's just learning the principles of how the grill works. And you can translate all of that and do the same thing. So some people would say, oh, that's crazy that you can do all that in such a short period of time. But if you always love to cook and have that background, no, it just might be learning certain techniques, doing brisket, whatever it may be, because things like that, obviously, I hadn't cooked before. But no, it just kind of spiraled, and I never expected it. And it's still shocking to this day. I'm sitting here talking to you when 3 years ago, I would just kind of be sitting on the couch doing whatever I'm doing, making dinner or whatever it may be,
So it's kind of fascinating that I knew social media, and I knew that I should have been, I was an early adopter of Twitter, but I really never got into it and didn't do it all the time. So there was probably a pretty big gap of time, literally years, where if I would have really got after it when I started, I probably could have, 25 or 50 or more thousand followers instead of the, 9,000 that I have. And then likewise with Instagram, I want to get to, there's magic numbers now. You got to get to 10,000 followers in order to be able to send links off into your stories and send them to different places. And it seems like an abominable task to go from where I'm at 3,500 to another 6,500. I have no idea how that's going to happen other than just time and effort and hard work, which is the only principles I've ever employed doing this show or doing anything else that I've ever done, day job or otherwise. And there seems to be an idea that you can get an account, you can take other people's photos that are really sexy just by going to Google and throwing them up there, and then way down in the description, you can put a little camera icon and say, photo credit Grill Mama. And then it's like you're burying the lead. But I see a whole bunch of accounts that are gaining hundreds of followers a day. And if I get 3, I'm like, yeah, 3. And if
you're not negative for the day.
Yeah, right. I don't want to lose anybody. I want to stay at least, where I'm at. But and other people are pissed if they don't get 200 or 300 followers a day with whatever algorithm they're trying to use to crack the system. So from somebody who has seen it, 2 or 3 years ago when you first started to where it is at now, and how you said it's such a different monster, like what are the ethics? And I talked to Jess Pryles about this maybe a year or two ago, and I wanted to get your take on it as well. Like from an ethical standpoint, she called it the dark underbelly of social media and Instagram. So like, what are your thoughts on that? And what's the best way to build a legitimate, engaged following?
So I'm gonna start by just saying how it was a couple years ago for those, especially on Instagram, that are maybe newer on the scene and don't understand exactly what has changed within Instagram. So a couple years ago, you were able to post your content, create your hashtags, and your followers anybody who followed you would see your content. And now it's a whole different thing. They talk about this algorithm where Instagram decides, and the algorithm is like this magical place. Like, I don't want to say magical because it really has a negative connotation to a lot of people, but we don't know how Instagram now decides which of your followers sees your content. So sure, I might have over 80,000 followers, but I'm lucky that 10% of the people who follow my account even see my content. And I did a post a couple days ago, maybe 5 days ago, and it was talking about how you were saying that, Jess was saying the dark underbelly of Instagram. Yep. You have these accounts that are repost accounts. And it really makes me ill, because you have these big accounts, and I'm not here to name names, but people on Instagram and social media, most people know who they are, where these people take your content without your permission, repost it on their page, and like you said, Greg, they write a caption that's like this long, and then at the very, very bottom, they'll put, a picture, by whoever, Grill Mama, whoever it is. And the reality is most people that are on Instagram, they're just scrolling through their phone. Yep. And they see the first sentence or two, so many characters, and they never even see that. And there's these repost people that are actually teaching classes now and charging people a small fortune of money to teach them how to take your content, your picture. So I sat there, bought that food, cooked that food, created that picture, worked my butt off to make sure it looked nice for my account. And these people just come and cherry pick the best pictures off of Instagram, put them on their page, bury the credit. And what happens? People think that's their content, and they created that. And so they have the very best of the best pictures, and their account following goes crazy. You see these people, 500, 600, 700,000 followers. I just saw on Instagram today where another person did a podcast with somebody, and it was a reposter. And I was going to keep my mouth shut, but I know this gentleman. I met him before. And I sent him a message, and he was saying, oh, how great the podcast was and everything. And I said, well, I just sent up a private message and just said, hey, I said, it just really sucks that you took somebody who earned all of those followers by stealing everybody's pictures. And, it's not just, these people are profiting off of our content. Like there's some of these big reposter accounts are making 6 figures plus. And why? They only, have this popularity because they took everybody's pictures, and to teach classes and charge people. And, they think it's laughable when people say, well, shouldn't you ask permission to the original content creator, like these people that take these classes? Because I know people who have, and it's almost a laughable situation. They're like, why would you do that? It's like, but there's copyright laws, right? But they don't care about that. And they get away with it. And then, of course, there's the other people that buy, comments or video views. And you'll see these accounts now growing 500 people a day. You, Greg, know how hard that is. I know how hard that is. I have an authentic following. Like I worked my butt off to create my content to get to where I am today. And it's such a small community of people anymore that are honest, creating the content, doing it, not buying into these third parties that inflate your following. And it's really disheartening to a lot of people, even companies taking, I just, one of my good friends on Instagram has a company, he bought their product. They took his picture, are now actually multiple pictures, are using it for advertising, never credited him with a picture, never asked his permission, and are blatantly using his photography, his pictures off of Instagram, took them to advertise on Facebook.
Wow.
And they won't respond to his messages, comments, nothing at all. It's crazy.
Yeah. So how you had said that, some of these accounts are making legit 6 figures. I mean, is that all they're in it for then? I mean, is it just a straight up cash grab and that's it? And whenever it runs out, they run out. But while the iron's hot, we're going to strike it.
Absolutely, because what a lot of people don't realize is that these people, obviously companies, the more followers that somebody has, the more a company is going to pay them for sponsored content. And a lot of these company or these reposters, that's the only time they'll actually cook something or post something that they took a picture of. And it's because somebody's paying them like $1,000 and multiple thousands of dollars to produce that content, sponsored content on their page. And it's laughable almost sometimes, because some of the bigger accounts, you'll see them finally cook something or do an Instagram live or whatever it may be, and it's laughable, you know? And there's like, and there's like a big joke, like when reposters actually cook. And that's not to say that all of them can't cook, because there's people that can, but it's like, why instead of just having an account where it's just their food, which they can absolutely do if they can cook and they can grill, they're in it for the money if they're just blatantly trying to grow followers by taking everybody's content. There's reposters that will stop reposting after they get a couple 100,000 followers, because they know at that point they have a yard full of grills because they've already solicited a bunch of grill companies, and it's like a junkyard out there, because they know they're at that amount of followers where they can make a lot of money off of it. But when approached and questioned and said, well, why don't you just, if you're really in this to be like a morally good person and create with just your content, why don't you start over? And they'll go, no way. Why would I do that? Because they know they're not going to get money. They know they're not going to get stuff. And they know, and you know, and I know how hard it is to grow followers these days. The people who are doing it honestly, and even these accounts that are honest, that have a couple 100,000 followers, that have amazing content. There's one account on Instagram, Jules Food. She, wonderful, wonderful person, gorgeous pictures, stunning photography. Her stuff gets stolen. I can't even tell you how much. And repost it all the time. Like myself, I have so many of those people blocked where they just can't take my pictures, or I report them. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to upset people. I'm like, they're stealing
your stuff, by the way.
You're stealing your stuff. Because like, what the hell do you care, right? Like, for me, I'm finally at that point where I'm like, no, that's it. I'm done being Mr. Nice Guy. And some people will message them and be like, oh, you didn't ask permission. I'm like, they know what they're doing. They're blatantly just taking it and they don't care. The problem is on Instagram, you report something, they're already getting that value out of your content. So by the time Instagram takes that picture down, they've already, gained followers off your picture, your content views. And so many people that comment under these reposters' pictures will think that it's the reposter's cook. And they'll ask questions like, oh, what a great job, or how did you do this or that? And I'd sit there, watch that. And, a year and a half ago, I used to like pop into the comments and go, actually, this is mine, and this is how I did it. And then I got to the point, I'm like, the hell with this, I'm just block all of you. And, if people want to see my content, they can come to my page. And it's frustrating, right? So many people we're happy to be positive. Actually, after I did that article on Instagram the other day, I lost like 50 followers.
Wow.
And it's interesting. And people say like, do you regret that? Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you're weeding out the filth.
Well, that's exactly it, Craig. And I had so many amazing messages after that, because a lot of people had no idea what these people were doing. The person who did that podcast, and I messaged them and I said, that's a shame that you had somebody on and you're and they're like, wait, what? They're a repost account? I'm like, how do you have somebody on your podcast and you didn't even read their you didn't look at their account to see that 8% of the content isn't even theirs?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I wish I knew that before I had them on. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's called prep work.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I just kind of shook my head. I'm like, I said, well, now you see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if you read, what I wrote in that post that one day, it was really eye-opening to a lot of people, and especially people with smaller accounts, right?
Yeah.
The people with the larger accounts are often the targets of the reposters, and they see that happen to them all the time. So it was, I'm happy I did it. And a lot of people are like, thank you for bringing this to our attention. They honestly, had no idea. And it's about protecting. It's like doing a painting and somebody going, well, here, I'm going to swipe that painting you just did and sell it for a couple $1 million, but you don't get shit, I'm like, no, I don't fly with that anymore.
So when you are legitimately at your following and you've put in the work and now you have companies approaching you, whether they're offering you some money for sponsored post or some products or whatever, since you want to maintain that validity and that authenticity, that's not a word, the authenticity of, your whole account.
The tongue twister.
How do you go about picking who you're going to partner with, or what are you taking into consideration in order? Because, I mean, that's a big deal, right? I mean, you've talked about,
yeah,
for the last number of minutes on how important it is to stay away from this or not do this.
Right.
The last thing you want to do is then look like a shill, right?
Exactly. There's a couple different type of people in social media. There are people that will take everything and anything that somebody offers them. And then there's the people that will only promote something they truly believe in. And when I get approached by a company, whether it's like a product or something, I'm like, I have to try it out first. And I had a company that refused to work with me because they want me to promote their product without ever using it. And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, I get comments and emails and direct messages of people asking me my opinion on whether, this versus that, whatever, what I truly thought about something. And I'm going to put something on my page that I've never even touched or used, or, if it's a grill turned on, I'm like, absolutely not. The same, if it's a rub, whatever it might be, whatever kind of product, whether it's, food wise or, electronics, like grills, sous vide machines, whatever the heck it may be. I'm like, until I, if I don't like it, no, here, I'll send it back to you. I don't care. But I refuse to promote something I don't believe in. And there are so many people that you look at their accounts and that's all it is. And it's one thing to, grills I bought, I absolutely, like, I will put, like I said, with my big green egg, I've always put, yes, it's a big green egg, hashtag and everything, even though I bought that myself, and I've always done that. And there's a lot of people that do sponsored content, and there's very strict rules, right? You have to, put that it's sponsored or put that it's an ad or whatever it may be. And a lot of people don't do that. And they try to kind of shelter how much of their content really is paid content. There's a lot of people that are good about it, but I think Instagram these days is getting to be, it looks more like a big ad for a lot of people. Sure. And I think a lot of the fun is gone out of it. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm reevaluating where I might be going in 2019 because, I look at so many accounts and that's all it is promoting this or that, like ad nauseum. And there's more to life than just that. I think if you took social media away from some of these people, it would be like their whole life just crashed down, right?
For sure.
They wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
No doubt.
But I need to, I haven't done a lot of work on my website. I really want to start getting recipes up there. I just started it last October, so there's not a ton of content on it. But it's something I really want to, look to, at least going forward to 2019, doing more of. And, I think people want that too.
All right, so I've done it with the other two guests. You want to do a lightning round?
Sure.
All right. Let's cue the great music here. The wonderful Milt Buckner, as we just talked about stealing. I'm stealing his music, but that's all right. If the family wants me to pay some royalty, I'm happy to do it. The music is great. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you some choices, and you just shout out which one you would prefer.
Okay.
And we will start with the Standby, Bobby Flay, or Alton Brown.
Alton Brown.
Lump or briquette?
Lump all the way.
Reverse sear or normal sear?
That depends.
No, reverse sear or normal sear?
Big beef, reverse sear.
Yes or no? Searing seals in the juices.
No.
Let it rest or let's eat?
Let it rest.
Spatchcock or beer can chicken?
No beer can chicken.
Open pit or Sweet Baby Ray's?
Sweet Baby Ray's diluted down with some vinegar.
Okay, I like that. Sazerac or Old Fashioned?
Old Fashioned.
25-year-old Pappy Van Winkle, life-changing or bank-changing?
Am I going to get shot if I say bank changing?
No, that's what I say. Bank changing, of course. Brisket or beef ribs?
Ooh. We talking about beef short ribs, like dino bone?
Yes.
Brisket.
Ribeye or the field?
Ribeye.
Gas or charcoal?
Charcoal.
Big Mac or Whopper?
Whopper.
Burgers or hot dogs?
Burgers.
Ketchup or mustard?
Ketchup.
Tea or coffee?
Tea. Love the smell of coffee, though.
Money or free time?
Any more? Free time.
Shaving or waxing?
Waxing.
Podcasts or radio?
Podcasts.
Family Guy or South Park?
Oh, that's a hard one. Love them both, but I'm going to go Family Guy.
All right. I like it. I like Family Guy, too. That's my favorite. Although I do love a good South Park. In any event, you can currently still follow her on Instagram at Grill Mama. In real life, she is Melissa Rion. Melissa, really appreciate the time this evening talking about everything from social media to the Thanksgiving stuff, cooking in general, and hope to do it again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Greg. Have a great night, honey.
You too. There she is. Melissa Rion talking about all things social media and... Hold on,
all
there
guests
we go.
appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
That's some good talk right there, man. I mean, I don't think we talk nearly as much as we should about what's right in social media, what's wrong in social media. We did it, as I had mentioned, with Jess Pryles probably well over a year ago. Always good to get that conversation refreshed, because if you're looking to get into it, the people doing it the right way can find the people that are not doing it the right way very easily. So some great info. Loved it. Great insight. 85,000 followers, homemade, by the way. Again, I'm at 3,500, and I'm like, am I ever going to crack 4? Hey, the barbecue guru has believed one thing and one thing only. Cooking should be easy. You know why? Because it can be. Especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. In fact, Stephen Raichlen said he was hanging out with Bob Trudnak. Was it yesterday? They were cooking on Monoliths at the new CyberQ. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature. Let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill. It can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. By the way, if you get a Monolith with the built-in fan, and you already have a Guru controller, great news! You do not. Hello, you do not.
Andrew,
jeez.
You are not.
Man, oh man, trouble. You don't have to buy a brand new controller in order to get that Monolith to work right. Just hook the temperature controller that you have to the fan that's built into the Monolith, and away you go. Have any questions? You call them 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Or you can visit the website, bbqguru.com. That's bbqguru.com. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
It's the living in hypocrisy that excites me the most. Don't steal anything. Don't do this. Don't do that. We're going to play the lightning round, and I'm just going to put up somebody else's music. What a loser I am. God, I'm so ashamed. Melissa, I'm sorry. Email from John Dawson. Subject line, social pimps. Rems, who knew that shilling with Rich was a pioneer in this industry? And no kidding, John. Whatever happened to shilling with Rich? Rich, hope you're doing mediocre, my friend. Mediocre at best. All right, let's go ahead and make tracks out of here. All the way back in the first hour, BBQ Hall of Fame'er Stephen Raichlen was in talking about turkey methods, what he's going to be doing on Thursday, side dishes, Pimp the Brisket Chronicles indirectly. We also talked about Thanksgiving in his childhood and some of the great gifts that one might be considering giving. He has some on his website, barbecuebible.com. Then we talked with Adrian Miller, the soul food scholar, adrianemiller.com, his website. And we talked about some of the different styles of turkeys that he has seen through his travels. Also talked about soul food sides. We talked about chitlins and the Chitlin Festival. Was that in the Carolinas, Adrian? He also talked about lemon icebox cake, I think. Pie? Lemon icebox pie? Don't forget to send me that recipe. The new book, Black Smoke, is being worked on right now. Then we closed out the show with Melissa Riome at Grill Mama. 85,000 followers plus on Instagram, talking about what she recalls from Thanksgiving, what she's going to be doing this Thanksgiving, which A, is working, and then trying to pound it out after the fact. And then we got deep into social media, especially Instagram, and what it looked like 2-3 years ago and where it's at present day. So if you missed anything, go back and get the replays on podcast. First hour coming up tomorrow. Melissa will be up on Thursday, and then the best of show will be on Friday. Big show planned for you next week, as always. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Till next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying good night now.